Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. To those of you who could tear yourselves away from fake football, I appreciate it. Jim, how are you, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, speaking, like, Gary, is this like the not so hottest take ever now? Like, preseason football is kind of lame, like, and not just kind of.
It didn't used to be like this, right? Like they used to. The starters would play a little bit here and there. You at least got a taste of what your offense might look like. I mean, like, sure, it wasn't enough, but it was enough for you to be like, okay, I see the vision here. Sure, it'll get better later. But this has not been that at all. I don't know how I'm supposed to even imagine what this team could be.
It's tough to do, and they've shortened the preseason, which is fine. But they really have almost cut back players even playing even more. And maybe after what happened, it looks like in this game with the Steelers, maybe that's not a bad thing.
Right. So anyways, this isn't a football show. But
it isn't. It isn't.
So we went on a pretty cool trip. I was struggling with what to name this show. And we were talking about White Castle. So I was thinking about calling it Gary and Jim went halfway to White Castle because Altoona is about halfway to the closest one out that way anyway. So, but we went to Altoona so we could watch Konnor Griffin play, and we don't see a lot of games together. We go to a lot of games and we happen to be there at the same time. But the few times we have, O'Neal Cruz debut, Paul Skeens debut, Konnor Griffin debut in AA. Like, I think that was a really cool experience, man. And I found out on the way there it was your first time in Altoona. So what did you think?
It was, yeah. I've never been, as hard as that is to believe. First of all, the setting, the ballpark is really well done. It was like super clean. I noticed that too. Obviously prices are affordable. You're right close to, the action. It did my baseball soul a little good, Gary, because, Pirate fans, the sun is rarely out, right? So it just felt good to get back and just see, like, these dudes are like, you're in AA, but some of them still aren't going to make it. They're chasing their dreams, and it was just a fun experience. And I'm so glad we did it. And we got to watch Konnor Griffin.
Yeah, and we got a base hit, stolen base, ended up at third, got thrown out at home, like running on contact, like, and still what a crazy slide he had to almost make it, even though he had no business making it even close. But yeah, a real nice sac fly, good contact on that. The bat, it just sounds different. And that's really what I think my biggest takeaway was, because we moved all around the ballpark, and we sat pretty close. We sat up high. We sat off to the left and right. You can just tell the sound of somebody that has one of those bats versus one that doesn't. And what did we see? Maybe 3 or 4 guys that had that kind of sound on their bats that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you go and you don't know anybody's name, can you still pick out the guys just from their size? And when they do, whether it's a pitcher and he throws a pitch, or just a guy and the way he moves and the sounds coming off the bat, I think we could do a pretty darn good job of still picking out who the guys are that probably have a chance. Konnor Griffin screams it to you, like with like, just like when he walks out there, he's a man over everybody that's on that field at 19 years old. And I'm talking like from a physical standpoint. I don't remember seeing a baseball player that kind of looked like that from a physical stature at that age.
Yeah, because he's got the the width too.
Oh,
He's more filled out than you see a lot of. You see tall kids, but you don't see them like tall with they've got that man strength already to them. And yeah, he definitely does. Bryce Harper maybe.
yeah, I'm sure Frank Thomas was a big boy at the time when he played, but I mean, he looks like he's built in a lab, and and that's the thing that like I want people to understand about a kid like Konnor Griffin. So many times when you see these like really talented kids coming up, they have the talent, but they haven't grown into like their man bodies yet. I don't know how else to
Yeah,
say
right.
that. Where like they'll fill out, they'll get stronger, but that takes a little while. And then with the talent, then you see it. Well, he's already got the physical part. Like it's that's why we're having this conversation about him this early. Just because physically of what he is with his ball skills at this point.
Right. There's a difference between having some flashy tools and believing that the body could actually hold up to the rigors of Major League Baseball. You know what I mean? And he does look like he's prepared for that. I'm not sitting here saying like he's ready, but he just definitely has the frame to be where he's at. They're not pushing it. I think he's right where he needs to be. And if you looked around him, I think that's what struck me most, man. Like they nobody but like maybe Termar Johnson, Deuce had some nice hits that night that sounded a little bit different.
Yeah,
We talked about,
he had a real good day.
and aside from that, it was pretty quiet, right? I mean, like for anybody that was like younger than like 24, 25, 26 years old, those ones you kind of expect to hear from. Reyes, for instance, with the Phils. But the guy that was fouling everything off, I think like 80 foul balls, it felt like.
He had the best numbers of anybody there, and I think it was just because he was a little older.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny, like that's Double A, and some of these guys are just steps away, right? But
Well, how often do we say that? How often do we say like, yeah, you could get called right up from Double A? I mean, we say it like we should almost be prepared for it. Like, but just when we're watching that, I'm sorry, man. Like I didn't see anything that I thought belonged in the major leagues right now, including Konnor. Some of the swings he took, he'll discipline up on some of that stuff that he was fishing for. And just to show how much we know, we sat there like going like, man, this has got to be it for Sammy Ciani. Day after we left, guess what? There he is in AAA, right?
Right. We were both just like, well, I don't know about this. It's probably not gonna happen for Sammy. But yeah, it strikes you when you go to those games where yes, this is Double A, and yes, some of these guys are really talented, but you knew you were watching a minor league game,
Right.
and so maybe that's like the biggest takeaway for me is that. Yeah, let's not toss around Double A to the majors all that much. I mean, you gotta be pretty damn special, like real damn special. So, but it was a great time, dude. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. We should take a quick break, and when we come back from this quick break, I think let's talk a little bit about Johan Oviedo making his return. Thought that was a positive thing to talk about, and probably have another guy coming starting tomorrow that we need to discuss too. What do you think?
That's the rumor.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Jim and Gary Returning from our trip to go see Konnor Griffin, which has unfortunately sparked my friend producer here, who has left me a comment elsewhere reflecting just about this same thing, and here he showed up for this show to do it. Can we say he has great potential and let him develop? Fans want to call him the savior and bring him out now. Let's not encourage them. I am enjoying watching a really talented young player, and I am not going to avoid talking about it because you're afraid or of a jinx or something. I don't know. I like watching him play. I like discussing players as they evolve, and I don't remember putting a crown on his head. I mean, we're talking about where he is right now. I literally just said he shouldn't be called up.
Yeah, no, he's just think like you can appreciate what this kid can be and just where he's at his age and really kind of, enjoy that in the moment. Certainly. There's still going to be ups and downs. So, yeah, I mean, people get carried away on social media about it, but are you taking them all that seriously anyway? I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess, are you arguing that it's not special that he's debuting in AA or whatever? Well, it's drivable. He's the number one prospect in all of baseball for a reason.
Youngest Pirate ever at AA.
Youngest ever to play there. Hey, it's a special occasion. We're special occasion guys, man. We want to do special occasion things.
Gary, I would have stopped with "we're special guys," but okay,
I'm just saying, we're going gray at a rapid pace. Like you don't
Gary,
know how many more things like this we've got in us. We want to.
Gary got carded at Altoona. Guess who didn't get carded? Guess who didn't get carded? This guy. It's cool,
well, they must have thought you were my dad, like because you were getting ready to pay.
Right? They're like, "Hey, is your grandpa having anything or what?"
Plus, yes, we were very picky about our beer choices too, which tells you that you're only planning on having one real tasty one. Like,
yes.
But all in all, man, it was a fun trip. I thought he played great. At least just didn't look like the moment was too big for him. Termar Johnson, we wanted to see a little bit too. That was another guy that we wanted to pay attention to. He had just come back from that hand injury. He had a base hit. He seemed okay. I thought it was fun watching him play. Better defender than I think we get sold. He made some decent plays. It looked pretty rangy to me.
Yeah, I thought he looked fluid. I thought still like his swing. He looks like a hitter. People need to remember still he's still relatively young. So is this taking longer than some had hoped? Probably, but he's still young. So we got to see Mitch Jebb. That was interesting.
Good fielder. I thought center field was kind of a gimmick with him at first, but he's pretty good actually out there.
Yeah, and it was surprising across the board, and we'll get moved on, but like we complain about the numbers at Major League Baseball and how bad they are, right? Across the board with average and OPS. Boy, did we see a lot of that last night with guys. Like it's not a pretty offense is just not a pretty sight. Certainly in Pittsburgh.
No, it was crazy how many like 1-something averages there were on both sides. There was a lot of that. And the ones that weren't, they were always the guys who were like 25, 26 years old, they'd been around maybe even at that level for 2-3 years, and you could tell the difference in those guys versus the other guys. Like some of them had like very specific video board entrances and graphics that you could tell they've been collecting them for a couple years.
Right.
And you could just tell they're bigger and more developed and more ready to either move up or get out of this game one way or the other.
Right. I would tell people, last thing I'll say about this is get to some minor league games. We're going to go to probably to an Erie Seawolves game when the Curve play there. And really start to see the differences between levels, because it's a good thing to do when when you just sit around watching Major League Baseball all the time. I think it helps reset you a little bit.
I think it does too. I think it puts a lot more things back in perspective. Like you can tend to make these transactions and moves up very, very statistical. Like I see these numbers, and that means that he's ready for the next level. And I've seen a couple video clips of him hitting a home run or diving and making a play, but you maybe don't see like that he shows the wrong base to go to, on a double play. His feed to second base is really wild. Takes a couple double hitches before he throws to first. Not 100% sure that short's going to stick yet for him. They really want to see,
Sure. There's a lot of little things.
There's tons of little things. Like the swing looks pure, but there's a little bit of chase in there. I think he was seeing some better spin than he's accustomed to. And you could tell that it was troubling him a little bit just in that night. And again,
even just seeing guys and like, you can tell right away someone needs to get bigger and stronger. You know what I mean? Like you can just see like frame wise, some of them aren't ready yet. So like, there's a lot to it in that evaluation process. The Pirates aren't nearly good enough at that, but even you going to a game as a fan can see these things if you're paying attention.
I totally agree. So Johan Oviedo.
Yeah.
Came back yesterday for the second time. I still don't quite understand what it was they did, like with that first call up where they only let him go an inning and then like send him right back down. I clearly didn't mess with his head. He just went right back to work. Maybe it was pre-planned that he was going back after that one. I don't know. But whatever, he came back and he looked good. I mean, home run right away. First at bat of the game, George Springer. Which crazy stat that I heard during the game was that he has the second most to Ricky Henderson.
Yes, like 61 career.
Is that not? I could have sat here and named 50 guys before I came up with George Springer.
I don't know that I would ever guess him. If you gave me 100 guesses, I probably hadn't even thought of him as an option. But yeah, it was crazy. But Oviedo settled down, and man, did he look good.
Yeah, so Oviedo coming back, I don't want to say he's forgotten. We've always tried to bring him up. We've always cautiously brought him up. I think we do that with guys coming back from Tommy John. I'll do the same with Jared Jones next year. A lot of people are going to try to feed you that he should be ready coming out of spring, including him. I am not planning to even sniff that hook. Sorry.
We just had this with Oviedo. People were already talking about him in spring training, and we were both just like, just because he's back, it's still a process. Then he got hurt, which then took it off the table entirely. But like, it's man, whatever you plan on for Tommy John, plan longer. And
don't try to convince me that he's a harder worker, or you're not going to outwork Johan Oviedo either. I mean, like, I think that it just takes what it takes. And for all I know, there's going to be a step between with him anyway. You may want to almost consider starting him back in the bullpen. If he really and truly physically is ready to pitch again that early, he's going to have inning restrictions for the season. So why not use him out of the bullpen all year? And then if you want to come back and have him start the next year, have at it. Yeah. That might be something that you got to think about doing anyway. So no matter what, I think Johan Oviedo is key because he gives them a big three between him, Keller, and despite what Keller's doing right now, which we should also discuss. But those three, that's a good start on a rotation. And then all these other pieces, I don't know that they're going to trust them to be 4 and 5 alone. I think we might see them go out and get a veteran again.
Oh, they certainly could. I think what you've seen with Oviedo is exactly the path when you start looking at starts when these guys come back out of these first two. One was a mess, one looked good. And then he's going to have one where he's like, eh. And then he's going to have one like after that where he looks good again. And then he's going to, like, this is the process. Unless you are, uber talented and one of the rare few, this is what it's going to look like. And we are going to, I'm glad we have this last, 30-some games. So what's that give him, depending on if they want to start in the rest of the way?
3-4 starts, something like that.
Right.
I think that's what you can count on anyway. And I expect him to finish strong. And if he does, then, you go into next year, you don't think he's jumping right back up to that 200-inning horse. He's probably going to be a 150-inning horse.
Yes,
So
but sure as we are sitting here, when January rolls around, we're going to have people penciling in Jared Jones into that starting.
Sure, we will. So we're getting a head start on telling you not to be dumb already.
We're smacking your hand gently right now.
But Oviedo was key, man. Like when I saw the start go well, at first it just made me start thinking about seeing more. I really can't wait until his next start. This is a guy that I just want him to finish strong and healthy, go into the off season, come back looking like a regular contributor for this rotation. And I think he can take a regular turn, and you can get a good long chunk of the season under your belt with Johan Oviedo next year. That's a good thing to have. I'm so excited for it. They needed something like that. They traded some stability away with Falter.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's key. He's more than icing on the cake at this point. And you said a key word, which was health. As long as he ends the season healthy, the bumps and the highs and lows are going to be there. As long as he's healthy going into next year, that's what I'm looking at. 100%.
Well, what about Bubba? So Bubba's coming up now, and they announce we're going to use Bubba in the bullpen. Now, I saw some people had a problem with it right away. I would have thought more people would have at least factored in his recent performance and kind of thought like that there might be some kind of game like this played. I also saw Dayon's take on it this morning.
Oh,
listen.
Well, do tell, because I did not see it. I'm curious.
Yeah, I listened to his show this morning, and he mentioned he was skirting around it being a conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's just a theory, I think. But his feeling is that this is almost like a dog and pony show. Like this is a GM in trouble. That's why they promoted Konnor. That's why they're promoting Bubba right now. He's basically in trouble and showing off his wares. I can get behind that thought process. I think maybe, I know this is hard with the Pirates, but it's possible that's just a touch too cynical for me. I honest to God think this is about a kid that is very vocal that he should be up here, and there's absolutely no way to teach a kid like that he's not right, except for to have him come up and be shown that he's not right.
Interesting. I am processing this as you're saying it, with what DK said. Why can't it be both?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I might look at it. In both cases. I think Konnor Griffin has earned it, and it is a nice little shot in the arm for our buddy BC. And maybe Bubba Chandler, it's time, and he needs to figure it out. And it is another little shot in the arm. So I go both.
I mean, I guess the whole time, I think what I've been hoping for is I would love to be wrong. We said there wasn't enough offense in the off season, and we both said, well, I hope we're wrong. The very best outcome that could possibly happen is if Ben Cherington really is as smarter than everyone else as he puts forward that he might be. And of course, that has not been the case, but that doesn't mean like that. I don't think some things they do can work out. This Bubba thing, I don't think they waited too long. I think they appropriately waited for a young kid who had relatively flown through a system without facing a whole lot of stoppage. Hadn't been punched in the mouth. I think they waited until he started getting punched in the mouth, and he did. And they waited for him to start pushing back, and he didn't. And now we're to the point where you've got the 40-man decision coming up. You don't just want to have him rot the rest of the year because you still want to build more innings on. It just made total sense to bring him up. I think Barco will come up too and almost do the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, come on, people in the comments. Tell us what you think. Like, did you have a problem with it? Do you have a problem with them starting him in the bullpen? I want to hear some thoughts. But in the meantime, give me my thoughts on it. You can make the argument that they could have been aggressive and called him up through May, like at that point. And I'll listen to that, I guess. But then once they didn't, you've got the next 2 months, and then he did not show it. So at that point, I just look at it like, okay, fine. They didn't call him up in May. He had dominated early on. If anybody after that has anybody to blame for not getting called up and being put in the bullpen right away, it would be Bubba Chandler. It's Bubba. You know what I'm saying? Like it was on Bubba at that point. And so if people want to say, well, I'm sure he's just pouting or he's discouraged, it's fine to be discouraged. But if you want to turn it into like he's sabotaging what he's doing to trying to get to the major leagues, I don't buy that at all.
It's insane.
I think it's nuts, Gary.
It's insane.
To think a kid that has never touched a major league field is going to show it. He's going to show it to a major league ball club that I'll show you made a mistake. I'll just stink.
Let me say this too. I mean, just because we might as well go full blown here on Bubba. I don't think that it's a lock that he's even in the rotation next year coming out of spring. I really don't. Like, let alone number 2. I saw somebody wrote in here that somebody's been saying he's number 2 next year out of spring. He has number 2 in the rotation potential. That's Bubba. Bubba has number 1 or number 2 in the rotation potential. That's what he is. And that doesn't mean that that's what he will be for a couple years, 2-3 years even. It could take for him to really develop into that. I think we've been spoiled by Paul Skeens and Jared Jones to a degree. And if Jared Jones hadn't gotten hurt last year, I could scratch him off that list because I think he was in the process of showing you how damn hard it is for most of them. He was slowing down. There were a lot of things starting to come unhinged for him and get scouted. So I'm just saying it's a lot harder to onboard kids than you think. So count your blessings that Oviedo's back, because there's a guy that's got an awful lot of experience already. We know what we can expect if he stays healthy. That gives them 3. I think that's important to figuring out the rest of this puzzle. But it's not very likely to me, Jim, that coming out of spring, Barco and Bubba are involved. If anything, I think Mike Burrows probably has a head start on winning a spot. Ashcraft probably has a head start on winning a spot. Don't you think?
I agree. I think the more we do this, Gary, I think about like starting pitchers as like quarterbacks. They're just super hard to like. They come from so many different places, and the failure rate is there, even if you're a high pick, and it's just not that simple. And in baseball, then you throw in the injury aspect to it. Boy, does that really make it complicated. So
we're also real quick to label too. Like we've decided what these guys are before. There were people that wanted Bubba to start like right out of spring this year. You know, and I guess like that's where I'm coming from. This is a guy that's really only been dedicated to pitching for about 3 years.
Yeah.
You can't possibly imagine that everything there is to learn has been learned. You know, he's got some lessons to learn. You know, there's this changeup is more important than he's giving it weight for in the minors. You know, they've got to get that through to him. And he's got to figure something out. If it's not a changeup, he's got to come up with something else. The guys can hit velocity up here, as even our friend Miz learned, not before he went on the IL.
Yeah.
Guys can hit velocity if that's all you got. Right?
Sure. No, I think like when you look at Bubba, if people want to make the argument to me that, okay, well, he's frustrated. Okay, I will buy that. Every player that thinks they're ready is frustrated. Gary, we talked to Lastings Millage about that with Kutch, right?
Yeah.
Like with Kutch saying like, you know, I'm ready, and like they're impatient, and if you don't think you're ready, you don't belong in the first place, right? They're all going to think they're ready.
Very true.
And it's how you respond to that. And okay, I'd even buy that maybe he pressed a little bit, thinking like.
I think back
whatever.
to O'Neill Cruz running around the bases, tapping that watch. You know, it's been almost 3 years since that. And here we are still going like, well, if O'Neill can become when he reaches, but that's baseball. That's what people don't want to deal with, is that kind of patience. And when you talk about building internally, people look at this crap like it's just a list of names and you can move them up, and it's just like MLB The Show. Hey, that's a 93 rated prospect. Of course he's going to come up here and hit third, and everything's going to work great, and he's going to move right through my system like a hot knife through butter. But in real life, that's not how it goes. And it takes a couple years for guys to even just become an average player, Jim. Like just an average player. Like Jordy Mercer took 3 or 4 years before somebody was finally like, hey, you know what? It's okay for you to breathe this offseason. You're going to be a major league player. You know what I mean? Like it's and he was, if you in hindsight, pretty damn good shortstop of a pretty damn good team, but a pretty pedestrian player. You know, like somebody that probably shares a ceiling very close to what it's looking like Jared Triolo could be.
Yeah.
You know, and we here in Pittsburgh, I guess I just ask, just from what we watch here, do we really have the room to be turning our nose up at even Jordy Mercer? You had 8 Jordy Mercers on your team. I bet they're better than they are right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem in general when you talk about baseball here in Pittsburgh and baseball elsewhere in certain areas where when you're so dependent on your minor league system that it sucks having to wait for all that.
Yeah.
In baseball, it does, because, and granted, the Pirates have not been good at like getting it to the goal line, right? Even guys that have potential, getting it past the finish line.
I don't think we've ever seen what we're seeing with pitching. That's never been here. Like we've never had to do this. Who's the most we had? Remember, like the one year we had Brad Lincoln was like the guy, or there was Chris Benson, or there was Garrett Cole, or there was Jameson Taillon. I guess for a while there was Quinn Priester. There's always one guy that you're looking for. We got like 3, 4, maybe even 5 right now that we're feeling that way about. I don't know that I even know how to process it. I don't know what is surplus really, because I sit here and I talk. Oh, go ahead and trade one of those for a bat. Totally, logically makes a ton of sense. Then I think about how hard it is for this to actually form internally, just from what we've watched. And I go, maybe they don't have as many to just move around. You know what I mean?
Look, and it can change fast, right? So, overall, I agree that long as I've been a fan, this is the most pitching they've had, at least to look forward to, and starting pitching options. Again, that can change fast, but we've gone through some really lean years with pitching as far as guys, and we don't even talk about Burrows at this point,
Yeah.
He doesn't even get mentioned. So,
and he's got, I think, some problems that have emerged this year, but that's why you do what you do. Like what we learned about Mike Burrows this year is that first, he's got the right kind of makeup. He's able to put the mistakes behind him and move on and keep the start going. That's step number 1 for a starting pitcher. You just got to know that that's there. He has the ability to get that strikeout and the stuff to get that strikeout when he needs it here and there. The changeup is a special pitch. He's got a special pitch. And he's got something that complements it and makes it even a little more special. You know all of those things. His struggles, he's struggled to get through a lineup more than twice. The third time through has not been pretty so far. So there's got to be some way that you're managing his way to that point that you still have something that they haven't seen yet when you get there. And, I'd say lastly, he has some home run trouble. So that tells me like the confidence pitching up in the zone is great, but maybe have a little fear factor. You know what I mean? Like, so I think you have to do what you're doing with some of these guys now so that you know the answers to these questions. You get that bank of information. Well, now when I show up to spring next year, that's already there for Mike Burrows. I know what he was last year. I know what I told him to go work on. Now I want to see if he did it. Now I want to help mold him a little bit more. And he'll probably get a long look right away before anybody else, right? That's how this is done.
Unfortunately, it's how it's done, and it's how it's done here doubly, because that's where it's got to come from, right? It's got to come from the system. And for a fan base that's short on patience, it's a bad combination. I will say with Burrows, as long as you got a changeup, you got a chance. And his changeup is, if it's not elite, it's close to it.
Yeah, it's pretty filthy.
Yeah. So, but if he's a guy that's like a fringe starter for you, and Mike said this in the comments, he said this is the most starting pitching since the 70s. I would agree with that. I really would. I
yeah,
I
would
just
have
think
to agree with that too.
I just think factually that's right. Offensively, different conversation.
Yes, we're definitely not the lumber company anymore. We're now the slumber company. Like we're We're trying to put guys to sleep, and that's about it. But it's been interesting watching them try to work through the process of onboarding this many kids that happened upon Major League ready or close to it at the same time. And I'm interested to see how they continue it, because I think it's going to be an effort that has to be continued in the next year. And some guys you're going to have to stop dangling the carrot. Like, you're going to at some point have to stop saying, well, we might try it again, Carmen. But at some point you got to be like, okay, now we know what you are, where you belong. Go learn how to be a master at it. That's what we want you to do.
Yeah, they've done more than right by Carmen. As many things as the Pirates get accused of, sometimes rightly so, by the way, they let him kind of be the author of his story, right?
Yes.
So, back to what we started talking about with this starting pitching and Bubba coming in here, and look, he's going to get a chance to pitch in the majors. If he's not starting, who cares?
All right.
Bubba shouldn't care. You go out and show you can get major league hitters out, and guess what? They'll give you starts. Plain and simple.
I do have a concern with what they're doing, though. I just think you start getting to the point where you have so many guys that are only going every 5 days, and then your bullpen is short. You don't just have 5 starters. You've basically got 7, 8. You know what I mean? And then that only leaves you 5 spots to kind of pick up the mess everywhere else. And even Keller has lately been pitching like a guy who needs, some extra guardian angel pitcher to be watching over the second half of his outing, right? So you kind of you destroy a bullpen like that. I already don't understand like what they're doing like with Sisk, and I wouldn't have sent him down. I think it's time to let go of Heaney, and that seems to be the most logical move to get the 40-man spot too for Bubba, and just kind of wipe it all out in one swoop. Unless Heaney's going to turn into a guy that not only A is good suddenly, or B can go like 2, 3, 4 days, out in a week, this isn't going to work. Like you gotta chill on how much of this you do.
So your concern with Bubba is what? Well, just like narrow that down for me a little bit more. Like Bubba.
My concern with Bubba is like, let's say they pin him to Mike Burrows. Every time Mike Burrows starts, you're going to go out and be the second half of it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep you on that 5-man rotation, and next time Burrows is up, it'll be your day 2. And because you want to keep him on that starter schedule, they're not going to turn him into a bullpen arm. They're going to do exactly what they did with Ashcraft, where he would sit around for 4 or 5 days and then come out and try to throw 3. Right?
Okay.
And well, you get pinned with these starters, and then you've got a bullpen that's locked. And you've only got a couple guys who can go all the time, and you kill them. It's not sustainable. You can't do it for long. So at some point, you got to decide somebody's a starter and let them actually pitch like one. And I'm hoping that's what they're going to let Oviedo do. Like, let him continue to build as the season finishes out. He should be one of the few on the upswing trying to get innings in. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100% with Oviedo.
So, I mean, if he can and they allow it, and like when he gets to 100 pitches, which is coming, and he can go 8, get the hell out the way and let it happen. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bubba's interesting. I don't know what I would guess would be the perfect kind of scenario for him right now if you are bringing him up. I'm actually pretty much okay with how they're going to do it, and I want to see how he does with it. I'm okay with it. I don't know that there's an idea. He hasn't pitched well in 2 months. I don't know if there's an ideal situation. I'm one of the ones that I'm glad they're not just going to let him start. But you wouldn't want him in anything high leverage. I don't think blowouts would do him any good. You want to keep him in some kind of a routine.
That's why you don't get to be choosy about the types of games he comes into. If Mike Burrows is the guy and he has a great start and he goes 5 innings, well, Bubba can come in and the most he can get is 4. Tough. Mm-hmm. And then he ain't going again until Burrows does. Mm-hmm. And if he has a 3 innings start and gives up 8 runs, well, Bubba's still coming in, and that's the way it's done. They did it with Ashcraft too for most of the season, and then it went on so long they finally started using in some semblance of a couple times here and there. But I'm just saying, when you get to the point where you're clogging up your whole bullpen with it, I think it's basically like running a motor with no oil. You just don't have the flexibility to actually operate games. So I think they're going to have to do something to eliminate some of them. And I'd start with clearing the herd. I'd get rid of Heaney. I want more real relievers as opposed to projects. Get Carmen out of that mix. Carmen, I need you to be a bullpen arm. Come on. If I need you for 2 tonight, cool. That's going to be your max now. And 3-4 times a week, that's what we need out of you the rest of the way. Let's go. Let's get back to what you've been. We need that. Leave Ashcraft, whatever. But
it's funny, we're sitting here and we have all these good problems to have on the pitching side. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why it's more fun to talk about that.
It is. That's God. We should just call this the Pirates Pitching Fan Forum. We can just do that from now on. But yeah, on the pitching side, these are all really good conversations and tough decisions to make. I do think it's time for Bubba just to, if we want to put a bow on that part of it, just time to okay, Bubba, you thought you got screwed early, didn't work out the last little bit. Well, come up and we're going to put you in a role. And guess what? You have a lot of control over what happens from here on out.
And I think we can probably expect him to come out fired up and throwing the ball hot in triple digits. I think that's exactly what he'll do. We should take another break, and when we come back, we should do Call Your Shot. Don't you think?
Probably.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, hey, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow all the cool shows on this channel. Ramon Foster Show is still here. Arguably, I'm sure for some people, but not for me, because to me, I'm totally sold. The best football show there is out there about the Steelers. I love the Ramon Foster Show. So check it out as soon as you get the opportunity, every time it comes up, no matter how inconsistent it is. When it's here, check it out. Let's do Call Your Shot. And Taylor's sick, so I'm reading it this week.
Okay.
All right, this week's winner is Billy Tissue. And he says, I know it's still early and we're a ways away from the off season, but do you see FAM or IKF back if Charrington is fired? Do you see a new general manager going after Bailey Falter if the Royals decline his arbitration? I thought it was an interesting question. And Taylor will get a hold of you, Billy, or Billy, you can get a hold of Taylor at shopyins.com. Great stuff over there. Go check it out. It's our sponsor. Get yourself a shirt that says "Make the Pirates Great Again." I love it. It's a brand new shirt. Billy just got a free one as long as he gets a hold of Taylor, and you guys can all get one too. They're for sale over there, and they're really nice, comfortable shirts. Jim and I both have shirts. So
all you gotta do is come up with a good question. Like, that's it.
Don't be
stupid. Come up with a good question.
Tee us up for a good topic, whatever. That's all it is.
There you go.
That's all it is. So, anyways, good stuff there from him. What do you think? I don't think that IKF would be back from another general manager, because I think another general manager would have the common sense to realize that they need power and they can't afford to bring back somebody that doesn't have it. And I would think that would apply to Pham too, although I see a groundswell of fans starting to decide that he's good and want him back. And I think that just comes from a fear of the Pirates showing you a puppy and you say you want a different puppy and they give you a much uglier puppy, to replace it. And I think you're afraid that you complained about Carlos Santana and got rowdy. So now you don't want to complain about Pham and wind up with whatever they scrape out of the bottom of a bucket somewhere.
Yeah, on our drive to Altoona, we had a lot of time to talk, right?
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of stuff, not just Pirates, by the way, but thank God we didn't record some of that. Look, Tommy Pham, to me, I would just say to Pirate fans, I get it. It's haha, it's fun, it's cool, he's a tough guy. He was brought here to do one thing, and I think that was to provide some power in lineup. And if you want to bring him back as like a fourth outfielder, I'll listen to you. But I'm beyond bringing back a Tommy Pham as a starter that gets 400 some at bats. Yes, the last couple months he's hit well. I think it's a bit of a sideshow. He's not a guy I want him. I would just say raise your standards. That's all.
I would say they should raise their standards. I think that you have to find somebody that has more power. I don't know what else to say. You've only got a couple spots that are truthfully very, very logical to fill. You have to try to grow with certain spots. I just don't think you have a choice here. Not in this market. You're not going to replace Horwitz. And Davis is going to start. And we've done this a few shows now. Mm-hmm. Go around the diamond and we know what's going to happen in most of these spots. So I don't want to throw one of them away on a guy that, I don't know what this is, a death rattle, a magical proper prescription for his eyes that next year he's going to have to hunt for again until June or July. Mm-hmm. And even if he does, where's the power? Jim, that's what we need on this team is home run hitters. And that's not what this guy is. So, no, I'm sorry. I don't want them back, and I hope they don't consider them. And
yeah, I think it almost got to this point where yeah, man, he's cool. He's a hard ass. So let's bring him back.
I don't even think he's I thought that was ridiculous what happened the other day. And I'm embarrassed by him on the baseball field and the way that he acts.
It's not for me. It's not for me.
Now he brings up Bailey Falter back from the Royals if they decline his arbitration. We always kind of thought this with Bailey Falter. Somebody was going to think they could fix him because they never really truly understood what he did that worked. It's still a sideshow trick to them. So they thought, well, we'll add this or we'll take this away or we'll change that. And it didn't work for him, and he ended up shoved in the bullpen, and now he's probably a guy that's going to get non-tendered. And the Pirates can sit back and go, haha, see, we told you we were right. Now, even whether this GM's here or not, that ship has sailed. I just don't see that as a possibility. I'm going to guess that they had enough internal conversations about thinking that it was trending in the wrong direction and not feeling that he was somebody they wanted to retain.
I think once that decision is made, you are moving on. Like, that's how I would look at it is. So I would be surprised only because of what we just talked about, which was the pitching that's available. So I just don't see that as being like a priority or an option for them. The IKF one's interesting, right? And by the way, isn't it interesting with IKF? He's kind of escaped the ire of Pirate fans because he hasn't hit a ton. He makes, for Pirate fans, a decent amount of money. Not for other teams, but for here. We've booed and hated and vilified guys for a lot less.
I don't think that any fan can say there's been a play or a swing of the bat or anything where IKF didn't go 100% of whatever he's capable of for you. And he does it quietly. And he has a respectable batting average, which in this lineup makes it look like, Lou Gehrig is batting ninth. Actually, David says here, fundamentally good baseball player. There you go. A fundamentally good ball player.
So is that enough?
That's true.
Is that enough in Pittsburgh to get you a pass?
They hate Jared Triolo, so no. Jared Triolo is a terrific fundamental baseball player. Like, he is.
Yeah, but so it's just interesting. Like, it's just funny how sometimes guys kind of sneak through. And I do think IKF has a spot on teams, but
I heard he wants to stay. And maybe that's something that this GM would do, and I wouldn't mind him coming back as like a backup type situation. That's a great guy to have on the bench and everything. And probably his role on a really good team would be on the bench. I just, again, don't trust this team to allow the young talent to push paid talent aside. That's kind of the stumbling block. This guy's not going to take a paid decrease after this season. He's played an awful lot of games and he's played pretty decent. So you're looking at a guy who's going to get 7 or 8 again next year or something, or maybe even 10. And he's going to want a couple years. And we ought to just stop talking right there.
Right. And here's the thing too, like, I know people have said, I like him, fundamentally good player. My God, people, it's 2025. He almost has 400 plate appearances. He has 1 home run. 1. He has 396 plate appearances. Like, what is he, Felix Fermin in 1986?
That's the thing. I don't want
Pirates. Like, come on.
I think that's the thing, Jim. I just don't want to be pining for these guys that aren't answering the bell. Okay, and I guess you could go like, well, why isn't that different for like Reynolds? Well, Reynolds is signed, and I've seen Reynolds do that.
And Reynolds has averaged 25 home runs for the last 4 years before this year.
Yeah. And despite what I've seen this year, I know there's more power there. I know there will be more power there. I just have seen it. And O'Neal Cruz is dirt cheap still and going to go to arbitration and still probably on the upswing. And Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between guys like that and guys like Fam and IKF, and I'm tired of caring about what type of guy you are in a room that isn't even winning 80 games.
Yeah.
Like I
Gary,
don't care.
Gary, I'm gonna take this back to last year. This is incredible. IKF in 611 plate appearances for the Pirates has 2 home runs. I mean, come on, people. Like I'm saying, like, we got to raise our standards. Like, yes, we're Pirate fans and we don't expect a lot, but my God,
they do too, right? And guys like Nick Gonzalez need to turn into 15 homer guys, 15, 20 homer guys, and Joey Bart needs to hit more than 2 if he's going to come back. If he has any role on this team whatsoever, it needs to be the offensive side of whatever they do catching wise.
Yeah.
And he's not it. And, they need more out of corner outfield, whatever that other spot is. They need power.
Yeah, I think maybe it just comes down to, like, with what we're talking about is the Falters of the world, the IKFs, the FAMs. To me, it's just
enough.
Yeah.
I'd literally rather them just go with Triolo and Piguero.
Right.
I'm not even getting into an argument about it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you have other names, fine, kids.
And it's not in support of those guys either. It's just like, if that's what it is, then I'd rather give it to kids.
I would much prefer it. Like, I'd rather see another year of Sawinski than Fam. Like, at least I could expect him to run into a few. I want power opportunity. Billy Cook, striking out too much. I don't care. I'd rather see him than Tommy Pham.
Yeah, if you're giving me one choice or the other.
Yeah, like, it's time to be done with this rental system of crap. Like, go get something worth getting if you're going to get something. Like, don't go to Aldi and come home with last year's Halloween candy. Like, for this year's Valentine's Day. Don't do that. I don't need that anymore. It's time to move forward. Put all your money together and get one player that I would never expect you to get for 3 years. And I think you change everything. Or go double middle finger at all of us. Go, screw you, I'm proving you wrong. Take every dollar you have and do whatever it is, and sign Konnor Griffin now to like a 15-year deal like Jackson Churios a few years ago, and get Skeens done and extend this timeline out so that fans quit panicking that it's going to end in 2028. And if you're going to go internal, show them that the launch pad and the landing strip is very long. If you're never going to spend on free agents, do it that way. We just want to see proof that it's not all going to fall apart tomorrow because somebody lit a match.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is it's like running how many companies have you and I worked for, or organizations where you hire 7 morons. You end up firing them all when you could have just paid one guy more, and you'd have came out in front, and you'd have saved money in the long run, and you'd have been more successful, and you'd been more profitable. But they don't learn, right? So that's like the mentality. I think you get that, like, to a T.
No, go out and be insane. Go out and be like, you know what? I know nobody thinks we can get this done, but damn it, we want Kyle Schwarber. 40 a year for 3 years. Come on, you're going to change this team. Bring what that chemistry you had over there, bring it over here. Teach these guys to have some kind of a swagger, and oh, by the way, hit 50 home runs. You know, like, they're never going to do that.
Right. And even if that's pie in the sky, at least don't fall in love with the Tommy Pham tough guy stuff, and that's what you're willing to settle for on the other side. Can we not find a middle ground there a little bit?
They need power, though. They need to be creative about getting the power. And
the IKF thing is crazy. Like, man, let's
move on, right?
IKF's like a solid little ball player, but let's be honest about what he is.
Yeah. And then maybe, you hope, like, the Brewers a couple of years ago, Bryce Terang wasn't like this. And nobody thought he would be. That's what you have to have. That's development. And the most visible part of the development happens at the major league level, because that's how long that kid's been trying to turn into something. And how many chances they've given him to turn into something.
Yep. And you got to hit on a few.
Yep. You have to. Or else you get stuck paying Willy Adames $25 million a year. And that's not something teams like us can do. So, like,
not only can we do, we haven't. So,
right.
Man, we covered a ton of ground. I know we got to get going, but maybe we'll get to the killer thing maybe next week, because let's see how that keeps going. There's a conversation to be had there. But yes, good talk tonight, dude.
Yeah, good stuff, brother. All right, I guess we'll toss it off to Ben. I meant to record a new thing with him, but we ended up sneaking away in the night to go to Altoona. So
it was worth it. It was worth it.
All right, see you, everybody.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.